The Pittsburgh Steelers have a chance for a statement game against the Detroit Lions. We'll break that down and what they need to do against the number one offense in the NFL here on the Locked On Steelers podcast. I'm your host, Chris Carter, joined today by Jenna Harner. Let's get into it.
You are Locked On Steelers, your daily Pittsburgh Steelers podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello and welcome to the Locked On Steelers podcast. I'm your host, Chris Carter, bringing you your daily dose of all things on the Pittsburgh Steelers. As always, you can find this show on your favorite podcasting apps and on YouTube. Like this video if you enjoy it. Subscribe to this YouTube channel to get all of your daily Monday through Friday episodes as well as our bonus content. We thank you for making us your first listen every day because we're your team every day. A reminder, the Locked On Steelers podcast is part of the Locked On Podcast Network, which is now the number one sports podcast network in the world. We're also brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use code LOCKEDONNFL, and you'll get $20 off your first purchase of tickets only on Game Time. As I said before, we're joined by the amazing Jenna Harner of Channel 11 WPXI. She's back. She's ready. Jenna, it's Friday now. This is actually twice in a week that we've got you because we got you for the Monday episode, previewing the last of the Monday Night Football game. And so here we are. But Jenna, after the way that they won against the Dolphins, the Steelers are 8-6. They stand with a major opportunity. And yes, the Lions are 8-6. They're technically not a playoff team, but they are a team that is formidable, that I think everyone respects, and that have the number one offense in the NFL. I think this is a big chance for a statement game that if the Steelers win this one, it could send a big title. Well, yes, shockwaves, ripples, whatever it is.
Above.
I think the whole NFL will feel it, and people will look very differently at the Steelers if they pull this win off.
And you can kind of sense that people are already starting to look at the Steelers that way based off this Monday night performance, because it was kind of that first dominant performance, I guess, at least when the Steelers were up 21-3. Was it 28-3? It was 28-3. Yeah, my brain is Monday. Whenever there's a primetime game, I get set back so far in the week. So bear with me a little bit. But I think there's been a lot of conversation. The Steelers win these two games in a row. They win the game against the Dolphins that I think a lot of people, the second especially, we knew TJ Watt was going to be out. The second Derek Carman, it was announced he was going to be out. A lot of people looked and said, I feel really good about Miami here. And obviously that wasn't the case. And the Steelers end up, getting to a Tagovailoa bench. So I know you guys have talked about that a ton this week, but there is that momentum building surrounding the conversation around this team. And you're right. If they go into Detroit and take down the number one scoring offense in the entire league, if the defense makes a statement, stands up, limits the insanely phenomenal run game that Detroit has, and can limit the explosiveness that we know Jared Goff, Amon-Ra St. Brown, that offense is capable of, then I think a lot of people will be looking at this team and saying, hey, there isn't that super incredibly strong team in the AFC. All of the top contenders seem to have bits of flaws here and there, much like the Steelers themselves. And I think a lot of people will look at this and say, all right, if that happens, there could be a lot of belief here. It has to happen. A lot of things have to happen. I'm also, we're watching a lot of the injury status of some of the guys because that's going to be a big factor with this game too as the week continues to progress. But there is a real chance here to go into Detroit and make a statement in a game that coming into the season, we looked at this last stretch of the season here and it was, the Bills and the Ravens and the Lions. And this was that gauntlet, quote unquote, or the hardest part of the season on paper at the start of the year. Looks a little bit different now this year. And I think there's a much bigger chance against this Lions team than I would have said at the start of the year based on just, what these two teams were then compared to now.
Same. And going back to your injury point, we'll go over the Thursday injury report. This, of course, is being recorded Thursday evening, so there will be a Friday injury report. But Jabril Peppers had an illness. He was a do not practice after practicing Wednesday. James Pierre still hasn't practiced this week with his calf injury. Believe Zach Frazier was practicing Wednesday, didn't practice Thursday with a triceps injury. I kind of feel like he might be fine. That might just be a precautionary thing. They did put on the pads on Thursday for that practice. Andres Pete has been limited with a concussion, but limited is at least better than not practicing. Isaac Seumalo has yet to practice this week with both against his triceps. Now, he's been able to come back before, so maybe they're reserving him for the game, but we will see. TJ Watt, of course, no new news from Mike Tomlin on Tuesday. He hasn't practiced Wednesday or Thursday, but we did see photos of him in the Steelers facility that the Steelers provided when they posted pictures of the Pittsburgh Symphony coming to see them. Cam Hayward didn't practice, but on a full rest day, so he's fine. Derek Harmon's been a full practice participant all week. But the big thing to watch with the Steelers injury report, Jenna, is Nick Herbig, because he has not practiced yet this week with a hamstring injury, and there's a chance he could practice Friday. We're recording this on Thursday, so we don't know. And if he practiced Friday, maybe he gets a chance. But I'd imagine the Steelers would want to protect Nick Herbig from re-injuring anything and have him ready for the Browns and the Ravens if that's possible, then try to force him back early and put him at risk there. But I will say, Jenna, I do think there's more than just the statement wow factor that plays into the potential of the Steelers winning this game, or if the Steelers win this game, what happens. I think there's also a really big tone for what it would do for their playoff chances and for what it does to the Ravens. Now, as I pointed out, the Steelers, they could lose this game and the Browns game, and as long as they beat the Ravens, they'd win the AFC North. Doesn't even matter if the Ravens win both of their games, they lose the next two games, it comes down to week 18. But the Steelers can clinch the AFC North before week 18 with 3 of 4 things happening, and those 4 things are the 2 games that each of those teams will play before week 18. If the Steelers, if the Steelers, you have the Ravens 2 games, the Ravens will play the Patriots this upcoming week on Saturday Night Football, or no,
Sunday Night
Football. Thank you. Sunday Night Football for the Patriots in this week, which will be after the Lions game, and then they'll play Saturday Night Football in week 17. But what this does is, Jenna, if the Steelers beat the Lions, they would only need at that point 2 things to happen. Either A, the Ravens lose a game and they beat the Browns, or if the Ravens lost to the Patriots and the Packers and the Steelers beat the Lions, they would clinch the division even before they took the field against the Browns. They could go into full rest mode and say, you know what? We're good. We're hosting a playoff game. We don't need to worry about it. But that is the opportunity that is right here before the Steelers, is that it would put immense pressure on the Ravens, that if they slip up even just once, they know the Steelers beating Shedeur Sanders and a bad Browns team could be the factor that knocks them out of the AFC North race and gives it to the Steelers, which is why this Lions game has a lot on it that the Steelers could put towards their season.
And I think that the Steelers are coming into this game as best primed as they could be for this situation. You know, how many times have we heard from the players in the locker room? I know it's such a cliche, but they want to be playing their best football at this time of the season. They want to be, I mean, we can spout it off pretty constantly, but I think that one of Jonnu Smith's comments post-game after the Monday night win really kind of stuck with me, is he was saying, you know, they know the standard that they want to play at and they're reaching that. He's like, yes, there are going to be still parts of our game that we want to clean up and adjust and fix and all of these things, but they feel very confident that they are putting on display some of the best football they've played all season these last 2 games. And yes, I know the Ravens game feels a little bit, okay, well, there were, you know, ups and downs and there were good things and bad things, but I think coming off this Dolphins game, and I know it's such a small sample size, but this team, this offense is humming at a really solid beat and has played well the last 2 games, especially what we saw in the middle 8 against the Dolphins. And then moving forward defensively, that run stopping of the defense, if they can make that be a consistent factor, and if they can, you know, I look at the Lions as a much bigger threat than I looked at the Dolphins, but the Dolphins statistically since week 10 coming into that game led the league with nearly 200 rush yards a game. I know you talked about this consistently with what Patrick Queen was saying, but he was like, something had to give and it wasn't going to be us. I think if this defense can stand tall against a 1-2 punch that the Lions have in that run game, I think that that's going to be a massive factor in benefiting them, potentially leading to a win in this game if, things fire on all cylinders in that way. But if they can do that and continue to play really solid football, I think that you're seeing this team gain that confidence in themselves and just, hey, we're on a roll here. Let's keep it rolling. And that can be massive going down the stretch with these last couple games left. And again, some of them might not even mean anything come potentially as soon as week 17.
Absolutely. And there's a big opportunity here. I talked yesterday with Matt Derry from Locked On Lions on Crossover Thursday about the Lions run game and how that is the top priority for the Steelers. Stop the run. Yeah. Don't let Jahmyr Gibbs and Montgomery, don't let those guys take over, because if they do, it breaks everything open and makes everything work for that number one offense. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, it's time to get to our Week 16 NFL picks. We'll get you an update on where everything are in the Locked On Steelers Pick'em standings. We'll do that all here. And then, of course, get the Steelers Lions next on the Locked On Steelers podcast. Chris Carter, Jenna Harner, stick with us. We'll be right back. But first, I remind you, this show is brought to you by Game Time. The World Cup is coming back to North America for the first time since 1994, and with 48 teams in the contest for the first time ever, it's going to be massive. But let's be honest, getting tickets is usually the hardest part. That's why the Game Time app is clutch, finally giving fans a real advantage when it comes to snagging seats. With Game Time, you can track price drops in real time, get alerts when great seats open, and buy tickets the moment they hit the app. It puts the power back in your hands and makes going to the World Cup realistic even instead of impossible. You pull up the app, the layout makes it so simple to scroll through matchups and compare seat views. Alerts for teams and matches make it easy to grab tickets the moment they drop instead of missing out. Take the guesswork out of buying World Cup tickets and every match, concert, or event with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms and conditions apply. Again, download the app, make an account, use code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off. Swipe, tap, ticket, go. Game Time. We're back here on the Locked On Steelers podcast. Chris Carter here with Jenna Harner of Channel 11 WPXI. It's time to get to our picks of the week, and it's time to look at the standings and where everything sits.
I haven't gotten to do this in a little while. I haven't gotten to be here on a day that we did this.
Yeah, Josh Taylor was like, "Why are you putting me in Jenna's seat, man?" Like, I had him in for last Friday, and he was just like, I can't pick as good as Jenna. But as it stands, first place is currently N Sprizzle 43. They have 155 correct picks in the Locked On Steelers Pick'em League, which there are 351 of you competing with us every week. Thank you very much. But Jenna Harner is sitting in second place in the league with 152 correct picks. She is tied with Sergeant Biggs, Aeromaster, and Blitzberg. So congrats to all of our top scorers. I am somewhere at 142nd because I have 138 correct picks. I'm 14 games behind Jenna. I would need to get half. I basically need to listen to what your picks are, pick the opposite of the ones, and hope that I hit.
Hope that the upsets just take, or hope that I'm having terrible picks this week, which who knows, because down the stretch is the hardest to predict. So we're in that area right now.
As always, we're recording this on Thursday, so we'll skip Thursday night football. But let's get into what is a Saturday game, a 5:01 p.m. kickoff, and it's the Eagles at the Commanders. Now, Jenna, I'm sure when the NFL scheduled this game, they thought this was going to be the showdown in week 16, because the Commanders were in the NFC Championship game last year, lost to the Eagles, and they had Jaden Daniels. But now Jaden Daniels isn't even going to play in this game because the Commanders are so bad. The Eagles are 7-point favorites on FanDuel. By the way, go to FanDuel.com to make all your bets. In this game, I feel like I don't have to try to stretch anything. The Eagles are going to win this one. This is going to be ugly.
Yeah, it's not going to go great. The positive vibes bunny has been taken out of the Eagles locker room, which was my favorite thing, because the second I saw that up there, I was like, that's not going well. That's not going well for them, and it sure did not. But yeah, the Eagles, this is kind of a nice little, hey, we're going to sort of continue to get back on track here. I don't think they're the team that they've been. I think there's a lot of fractures on that team, especially offensively, but I like Philly to win this game against a banged up and just not great, unfortunately, this year Commanders squad.
Moving right along to the next Saturday night game, one of the oldest rivalry in the NFL, the Packers at the Bears. The Packers are favored by 1.5 points in this game, which I don't know, kind of seems a little odd to me because the Bears right now are the number 2 seed in the NFC. They're 10-4. The Packers just behind them at 9-4-1, only a half game back. The Bears have lost to the Packers the last time, so maybe that's what happened. That was just 2 weeks ago, but that was in Green Bay. It was by 7 points. Now they're coming to Chicago on Saturday Night Football. Jenna, who do you have in this game?
I'm going with the Bears, and I know that feels like a little bit, I mean, it's the underdog, of course, but I'm trying to pull up the stat that I found the other day that was just one of those eye-opening, whoa, this is kind of crazy, and I want to make sure I'm phrasing it correctly. I should have had this up and ready, but I believe the stat is that teams coming off a game in Denver against the Broncos this year, okay. 0-6. 0-6 on the season.
Huh.
And who did the Packers play last week and lose to?
The Broncos.
That would be the Broncos in Denver. So this does feel like kind of a coin flip to me. It's hard to beat a team twice in a season too. These are division rivals. They know each other so well. But I think the Bears are playing with a lot of really good they're playing a lot of good football, but they're playing with a lot of confidence. And I really like what I've seen from them this year. I think Ben Johnson clearly has been the answer. So I'm going with the Bears here. A little upset maybe, but I'm going with Chicago.
I thought I could get you going for the Packers, and because I'm also picking the Bears. I like them at home. I think they'll get the revenge. I just think these are two good football teams, and that I don't think there will be a sweep here. I think there will be a split, and Chicago winning at home would make a lot of sense here. Granted, the Packers, I mean, both these teams kind of need this game. Like when you look at it, like it sounds crazy that the Bears are the 2 seed. They don't need to win this game. If the Bears fall to 10-5 and the Packers win this game, the Bears will be 10-5. If the Niners win their game, they would drop the Bears down to be the 7th seed, and if the Lions beat the Steelers, they would only be a game up on the Lions. And this is very important for both teams. So it's not just Green Bay that's desperate right now. So that's why I'm going with Chicago in this one in a big matchup. All right, let's get to the Sunday games. Chargers at Cowboys. The Cowboys are 2.5 favorites in this game, which I don't buy. I think the Chargers are playing good football right now, and they're going to destroy these guys.
That defense, what are we like? Vegas clearly knows more than we do a lot of the times, but I'm going with LA. Also, I want to issue a stat correction. It's 0-6 against the spread, not 0-6, but because it's a 1.5 point.
That would make sense.
Yeah. So I want to have that correction there for our viewers and our listeners. But yeah, I'm going with the Chargers here. The Cowboys, I love what they've been doing offensively, but there's, George Pickens is doing George Pickens things there, and there's conversations surrounding that I think you and I have dealt with here in Pittsburgh. But the Chargers, I feel like, should win this game easily.
Yeah, I feel like the Chargers match up well with what the Cowboys are going to try to do, and are going to find a way to win this game. Let's move along to other Sunday games. Vikings at Giants. Two teams have had disappointing seasons. Your New York Football Giants, though, the Vikings are 2.5 point favorites here. The Giants sit at 2-12. They're in the first pick bowl, contest right now. The Vikings are 6-8. They've not had the season they wanted, but they're not exactly at the bottom of the pit in the NFC. I'm going with the Vikings. I feel like they have some stuff there, but should I be picking Jackson Dart and the Giants?
No, you should not, because the New York Football Giants are going to hold on to that number 1 pick, and another loss is coming their way this week. I'm going Minnesota here. Some of the coverages that Minnesota displayed last week against the Cowboys were so genius, and just, Brian Flores in the way that he does. I know that they've kind of been up a little shaky this season, but that for a rookie quarterback to face that defense, that is going to be a lot. So give me Minnesota here on the road.
Bills at Browns. The Bills are 10.5 point favorites on the road there. We know it's been a tough to play in Cleveland in past years. But the past few weeks, it has not been.
Nope.
The Browns have really fallen off the map here. They are 3-11 on the season. And in fact, I'm just looking at things here. They have lost their last They've lost their last 3 home games. Their last time they beat a team was the Dolphins 31-6 back on October 19th. And so the vaunted dog pound is not as daunting as it used to be. Give me the Bills, and I'll also take the 10.5 points.
Give me the Bills, give me 10.5, and that's just going to be taking care of business, get in, get out game for the Bills, and I think they're going to do just that. After last week, there's still a chance for this team to win the division, so they're going to do all they can to get back into potentially looking to take that away from the Patriots, even though I still think the Patriots will walk away with the AFC East. Sorry, Buffalo.
Ooh, the Jets at the Saints. The Saints are 4.5-point favorites over the Jets, which if you're probably thinking about that, you're probably like, why in the world is that? Well, it's because the Saints have won 2 in a row against NFC South opponents. 2017 last week over the Panthers, 24-20 over the Buccaneers the week before that. There's some confidence brewing in New Orleans now. And I think that they have, even though they're way out of the playoff picture, they can't do anything. There's pride on the line. There's development on the line. And this is why we talk about the importance of winning, even when it's not necessarily a Super Bowl run year. It's important to do this to establish culture and to set things straight. And I think they do that against a Jets team that they're reeling. And so give me New Orleans. I think they find a way to win. This is in New Orleans. This should be solid. They've won 2 straight. The Jets have lost 4 of their last 5.
Yeah, the Jets are in the late season firing mode. And I feel like every time I get a notification, it's the Jets let go X or Y or Z member of the coaching staff. So I don't think this bodes well for New York. I think the Saints are kind of still getting their feet under them with Tyler Shough. I like what he's displayed from some of the stuff I've seen very briefly, because I really have not watched a lot of the Saints this year. But I think that they're a much better primed to win this game than the Jets are. And it's a home game for them.
NFC South game here, Buccaneers at Panthers, the 2 teams that just lost to the Saints. The Buccaneers are 3-point favorites on the road. This is also interesting because the NFC South is very much up for grabs right now. Both these teams sit at 7-7, and they play each other twice in the next 3 weeks. They meet at 1 p.m. Sunday this week, and then they have a break playing other teams in week 17, and week 18 it's right back in Carolina. Give me the Buccaneers in this first matchup. I just think that they'll go on the road and find a way to win, but ultimately it'll still come down to week 18, which will make for a fun time. And I hope that that's the game the NFL puts in prime time, not Steelers Ravens in week 18, because I don't need that in my life.
We don't need it. I'm going with the Panthers, though. I like quietly what Carolina has done this season, and I think Bryce Young has seemed to figure things out. I think that this is a team that you looked at the start of the year. I was like, at this point in the year, no way they'd be 7-7 and be competing for the division. But I like what they're doing. I like what I've seen from Carolina. I think that they are, have put together a lot as a team, and I think it's going to continue. So give me Carolina. I just feel like the Bucs have also kind of been up and down and a little bit reeling as of late, especially that loss to the Texans was just brutal a couple weeks ago.
They have, and you know what? You've convinced me. I'm switching to the Panthers. Yeah, because I had been thinking, the Buccaneers, but you're right. They have won. They have won 1 in their last 6 games. They're 1-5. Like, they lost to the Falcons, the Saints. Their 1 win is a tiny win over the Cardinals. And granted, 3 of those losses are Patriots, Bills, Rams. Tough games.
Yes.
But that's the kind of stuff that can beat you down. And guess who the Panthers beat just 2 weeks ago? The Rams. So you know what? Give me the Rams. Actually, it's 3 weeks ago, but still, give me the Rams. Or give me the Panthers. They're gonna find a way to win this one at home. Let's move right along. The Bengals at the Dolphins. 2 teams that are reeling at this point of the season, basically out of the playoff picture. Tua Tagovailoa has been benched, as you mentioned earlier. But Joe Burrow and the Bengals, this has been another disappointing season for them. It is the 4th time in Joe Burrow's 6 years that they have missed the playoffs, and they're sitting there wondering things. And Jenna, I have to admit, I have gone back and forth about who I want to pick in this game, because I personally think that the Dolphins are ready to break. But the Bengals looked broken last week when they got shut out at home by a Ravens defense that 42-year-old Aaron Rodgers tore up the week before. So I'm going back and forth. I'm going with the Bengals, but man, I don't feel good about it.
What's the line for this game? Just curious.
My apologies. It's 4.5 points. The Bengals are favored on the road.
I like the Bengals to win. I love the Dolphins to cover in this game because both of these teams are some of the worst run defenses in the league. And I think that Miami's going to, with a rookie quarterback making a start, say, here, Devon A-Chain, take the football, run the football, do what you do so well that you ideally wanted to do against the Steelers last week, and they stopped you from doing. I just think, like you said, I think the Bengals, quitting is a very strong word. I don't think it was that, but I think there was a lot of, yeah, it's over. We're packing it up a little bit when they were losing as badly as they were to the Ravens. Joe Burrow is, there's with his cryptic comments, and I don't want to do this if I'm not having fun anymore. No, I'm having fun. I want to be here. All things aside, I think Cincinnati wins this game because they have the better quarterback and the better offense in this matchup. But I do think Miami keeps it close. And this is just like an ugly, brutal game that if you're forced to watch this, I'm sorry.
I feel you on that. There's some games that you'd feel bad for having to watch it. There's a couple others here, but let's move along to Chiefs at Titans. It's crazy to think, but the Chiefs are eliminated from the playoffs right now. They have nothing to play for because they already have 8 losses. The best they can get is to 9-8, and the 7th seed right now is a 9-5 Texans team that's beaten the Chiefs. So there's no way for them to get into this playoff picture. And Patrick Mahomes is out for the rest of the year with his knee injury. Give me the Titans because the Titans have something to play for. I think just pride's on the line. I think the Chiefs are reeling. They're going to be – give me Cam Ward and the Tennessee Titans to win at home. The Chiefs are 3-point favorites. I don't care. Tennessee pulls off the upset.
Wow. No, I'm going with the Chiefs. Gardner Minshew, I think he is a very serviceable backup. Yes. And I think that they still have offensive weapons. I just think that things obviously have not gone according to plan and haven't gone the way the Chiefs envisioned them to this year. And it's going to be crazy to think of a postseason without the Chiefs because how many years has it even been a Super Bowl without the Chiefs? Give me Kansas City, but this is another ugly game where I'm like, man, if this is on for your area, just do some Christmas shopping if you still need the last minute Christmas holiday shopping while this game's on in the background.
Now let's talk about a game that a lot of people should tune in for. That's Jaguars at Broncos. The Broncos are 3-point favorites at home. This is a battle between two teams standing atop the AFC right now. The Broncos, of course, the 1 seed and have clinched their spot in the playoffs at 12-2. But 2 games behind them are the Jaguars at 10-4. A win for the Jaguars would bring them a game within the Broncos. The Broncos still have to play the Chiefs and the Chargers to finish out the season. The Jaguars finish against the Colts and the Titans. There's a shot here that if the Jaguars pull this off, the 1 seed could be within their reach because you also have to factor in the Patriots and the Bills both in that mix as the AFC, whoever wins the AFC's East. But this is an interesting opportunity for both teams here. And I'm going with the Broncos because I like their defense. The Broncos again are 3-point favorites in this game, and they're at home. They've been playing well at home. I think that defense carries them, and Bo Nix does just enough against the Jaguars.
I think that this is the home team wins this game. If this game was in Jacksonville, I think that I would have the Jags winning this game. But they've been so surprising to me this year. I think a lot of people kind of, I don't want to say wrote Trevor Lawrence off, but just kind of, let him fade into the background a little bit and said, the Jags are kind of this year. And they've clearly dispelled that narrative. So I like the Broncos at home. I'm with you on their defense just being insanely talented and finding ways to get after that. How many games have they won in a row now? What's the stat? I should have this. I should know this. It's been
11 straight.
11 in a row. Like at some point, I think they're going to lose one more down the stretch here, but maybe not. I think Denver is one of the most complete teams in the AFC. So give me the Broncos, but this is going to be a really fun game to watch.
Falcons at Cardinals here. Falcons are 2.5-point favorites. An interesting opportunity here for these two teams. Neither of them are in the playoff picture. The Falcons at 5-9. Kirk Cousins has come in. Give me them because of that. I think he's energized a little bit of the team, and they have nothing to play for except pride at this point. But they did beat the Buccaneers 29-28 last week. The Cardinals have lost 6 straight, and granted they've played some pretty good teams, but one of those teams that they lost to was the Buccaneers in this last one. So give me the Falcons on the road going into Arizona and getting a win.
The Fighting Kirk Cousins. What else do I have to say? That was the game I meant to talk about with the Bucs, not the Texans. But my goodness, like, he looked so rejuvenated, revitalized, and maybe this is the last hurrah here for Kirk Cousins. Maybe this is like right before everything falls off. Maybe it's not. I don't know. But he looked impressive on that Thursday night game. I know he always plays well against the Bucs, but yeah, give me the Falcons here. Give me that. Their defense too has found ways to make some big plays when it matters most. I still don't know how they beat the Bills.
Yeah, it's still pretty wild.
Crazy.
Moving right along to the last 4:00 game we'll talk about here before we get to Steelers and Lions later. Raiders at Texans. The Texans are 14.5-point favorites. Is Kenny Pickett still starting for the Raiders this week?
I believe so. Let me triple check that. Just
boy. Starting against the Eagles. Yeah, I can't find anything on versus Texans. Yeah, I'm struggling to see what's happening. They said that Geno Smith is expected to return from a shoulder injury, so it looks like it won't be Kenny Pickett there, which that kind of went rough last week. The Raiders got demolished in that. Not great, Bob. And that one, in fact, they got shut out by the Eagles. Kenny Pickett had a pretty rough day, as he's had quite a few times in his career. But yeah, because I don't care. Give me the 14.5 points. I'm taking the Houston Texans. Their defense is going to make this a nightmare for the Raiders.
Their defense is so scary and so fun to watch. And God, whoever plays them in the playoffs, good luck. The Texans are going to continue to roll here and get after the Raiders a lot. It's going to be a long day for Geno Smith. And maybe we will see Kenny Pickett. I don't know.
Game of the week potential here. Patriots at Ravens. This is the game that as soon as the Steelers game is over, Steelers fans will be turning right to Channel 11, by the way, locally, to catch the Patriots at Ravens. Ravens are 2.5-point favorites at home. Give me the Patriots to go into Baltimore and get this win. I think the Ravens, they got that win last week against a broken Bengals team. I think that the Patriots can come in and put the Ravens back into a misery hole with this game. The Patriots have been a fairly consistent team this year. The Ravens have not, and that's just where I stand with it. And sure, I think that the Patriots have gotten some favorable opponents to win against. But in that they've beaten the Bills. They just lost to the Bills by 4 points, which not anything to cry home about. And sure, some of their wins are the Bengals and the Giants and the Falcons and the Browns and the Titans. But you know what? You beat who you got to beat, and I think that they've been consistent at that. And if you're the Ravens, they haven't beaten who they've needed to beat, because that's why they're behind the Pittsburgh Steelers right now. So give me the Patriots going into Baltimore and pulling off a win. What say you, Jenna?
And this is a Patriots team that has taken on the identity of their head coach. And I can imagine they are a very pissed off team that blew a 21-point lead to their division rival a week ago at the chance to have a hat and t-shirt game and clinch the division. So I think this is going to be a very, very, very annoyed Patriots team going into Baltimore and saying, all right, we didn't take care of business last week. We are going to make damn sure that we take care of business this week. And it is going to be a ugly day for that Ravens defense. Drake May has been so impressive this year in what he's done and the steps forward he's taken. They have a really good team around him. I think that special teams unit too has also been making some massive, massive plays. So give me the Patriots here. And Lamar Jackson, I know that every Wednesday it seems like this year he's missed something, but with what Harbaugh called flu issues, something along those lines, Lamar Jackson has not been at 100% all season. If he's not even 100% feeling wise coming into this game, it's going to be a long, cold night in Baltimore.
Last thing here before we get to Steelers, Lions, Monday Night Football, Niners at Colts. An interesting matchup when you look at it. Both teams kind of need this win. The Niners, they may be the 6th seed, but they're 10-4, only a game back from the Rams right now. And this is a game where they've split against the Rams. So if they could get some help from the Seahawks, and the Rams play the Seahawks after in a short time after we record this. So if the Rams have lost that game, we don't know where that's going. That would put this game really on the map for the Niners. The Niners are 5.5-point favorites on FanDuel, and give me that. I think that if this were the Colts that mid-season before they played the Steelers, I might have taken the Colts, but they've got Phillip Rivers at quarterback.
Yep. Give me the Niners. The Phillip Rivers story is so great and so wonderful, and it's been fun and, good for him. And also bravo for him getting that health insurance for his kids for 5 more years. Smart man. We love someone who's financially savvy, but yeah, this is the Niners written all over it. They've quietly been playing well, and I think that's going to continue.
That being said, let's get to Steelers Lions. We do that next here on the Locked On Steelers podcast. Chris Carter, Jenna Harner. Stick with us. Be right back. But first, I want to remind you, this show is also brought to you by Prize Picks. The holiday season is one of the best times for sports, bowl games, big basketball matchups, playoff pushes. It's all happening at once. And while we're all making choices every day, one of the most fun places to make the right call is Prize Picks. Prize Picks is the easiest way to get in on daily fantasy. Just pick more or less at least 2 player projections, lock in your lineup, and you're in the game. It's simple, fast, and available in 45 states, including California, Texas, Florida, and Georgia. Creating a lineup takes less than a minute, and the app makes the whole process smooth and intuitive. You can choose from a huge range of unique stats, fantasy score, field goals attempted, free throws made, turnovers, whatever fits your strategy. The early payout feature is a great bonus. When your lineup starts strong, you may get the option to cash out early. Download the Prize Picks app today and use code LOCKEDONNFL to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code LOCKEDONNFL to get $50 in lineups after your first $5 play. Prize Picks. It's good to be right. Back here on the Locked On Steelers podcast, Chris Carter, Jenna Harner. As we continue our show here, we get to Steelers Lions to get you a final look at how this game will play out. As always, our odds, ends, and lines are brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook. The FanDuel has the Steelers at 6.5-point underdogs in Detroit. The money line sits at plus 265 for the Steelers, minus 330 for the the Lions, and the over/under is set at 51.5 points. And Jenna, you wouldn't know that these two teams are 8-6 by looking at that line, but they are, and they're sitting in an interesting place here. What do you think? We talked about stuffing the run, but what's a second thing that the Steelers must achieve in this game if they're going to win?
I want to see the Steelers run game continue to take a little bit more strides forward, particularly Kenneth Gainwell building off of the performance he had last week. Can they have those bigger splash plays, those bigger, it doesn't have to be a 38-yard run or whatever that was from Gainwell to set up the touchdown, but those big runs that get them into favorable field position that allows them to sustain drives. And also to keep the time of possession battle close. And, Monday night was the first time they won the time of possession battle all season, correct?
Yes.
So if you just keep it a lot closer than it's been. I mean, obviously, if you can win the time of possession in theory, you really should have a much more beneficial game ahead of you. So that's going to be massive to me too, is can this offense continue to sustain drives? How do you do that with your run game going well and creating some big plays? So I want to see more of that from the running backs. You'd like to assume that Jaylen Warren's going to be a little healthier than he was Sunday compared to Monday night. So that's going to be a big thing for me, what I want to see.
Same here. I feel like the run game is important because here's the thing. If the run game's going, it's going to make things a lot harder on this Lions team, because the Lions, they're beat up in the secondary. Brian Branch has been on injured reserve. He's kind of their key defensive weapon in the secondary. If the Steelers are running the ball, I don't know what the Lions do to counter it other than just get Aiden Hutchinson to get in the backfield against Aaron Rodgers. Now, that is a major factor because Aiden Hutchinson most likely matches up with Dylan Cook a lot in this game. So that's something to watch for there. But personally, I look at this. If the Steelers end up running the football, like you said, play action is going to be open. There's going to be a lot of opportunities. We've seen the passing attack thrive the last couple of weeks. DK Metcalf, said that, part of that was the conversations that they've had with Arthur Smith since the Bills loss, and how he's taken on more of what they've talked about. Arthur Smith said, hey, I'm no General McClellan, going back to a Civil War reference to a general that didn't listen to anybody and saying I'm, comparing to more like Ulysses Grant, where he took on other people's what people suggested, and so he's listening to the offense, his team, his players a bit more, and that's leading to better results. And I think that that's something that could play into the factor for the Steelers in this game if they're able to get that run game going, then the pass game flows, and then if the offense is putting up points, big thing here, like you said, time of possession. Don't let the Lions offense keep getting chances, because I don't care how good your defense is. If you keep putting them back out there, they're going to get beat. And when you're facing the number one offense, you have to limit their opportunities. So that I kind of even expect the Steelers defense to come out strong in this one, hold the Lions early. But what I think this game will turn on is whether or not the Steelers offense can put points up on the board, possess the football, and put pressure on that Lions offense to be efficient later in the game in the second half when they start to get the ball.
I completely agree with you. That's going to be the massive thing, is can this offense find a way to just have that consistency? And I know it's such a buzzword and it's kind of been across the board. So many of the players have been mentioning it, but can they remain consistent? And every drive doesn't have to result in a touchdown. It doesn't have to be the 4 straight touchdown drives that Aaron Rodgers led against the Dolphins, but can they find ways to put points on the board? If the defense forces a turnover, can they at least come away with a Chris Boswell field goal from it? That's going to be so crucial, again, against a team that is the number one scoring offense in the league and looks to have those big, massive, quick strike plays to a lot of their big playmakers offensively.
Absolutely. Looking at all that there's a lot of things to be looking at. Okay, let's get to our final predictions here. Jenna, give us your X factor for the game, what decides it, and give us your final score prediction for Steelers at Lions.
I think, unfortunately, I'm going with Detroit here, because this is the most desperate team at this point in the season, usually tends to win these games. It's going to be close. I have it being like a 27-24 game where Detroit wins. And I think it's going to be, unfortunately, some of the injuries that the Steelers are dealing with are going to just hamper them a little bit. Obviously, we're going to keep an eye on things. But if Nick Herbig doesn't practice on Friday, he's out if he is out, I should say. I'm not saying he's out, but if he is out for this game, that's a big loss for the Steelers defensively, in just terms of depth, in terms of what they like to do with that outside line, with those edge rushers, the outside linebacker rotation that they have going on. This is a massive test for Dylan Cook. You're going against one of the best players in the league defensively in Aiden Hutchinson. So he has his work cut out for him. I think that the Steelers are going to scheme a lot like they did last game to make his life a little bit easier. But I think at the end of the day, the better player usually tends to win those matchups. So I think Aiden Hutchinson is going to have a big game-changing player to some sort of strip sack. Aaron Rodgers holds onto the ball too long, or he just bulldozes his way through the Steelers offensive line. And I think that's going to be what does it for me. So, I think Detroit wins this game, because I believe if they lose this game, their playoff hopes are all but shot. There's a lot there, or they lose the control, quote unquote. They can't control their own destiny type situation here.
I think that's definitely the case. That being 8-6, they're already not in the playoff, the playoff picture. Looking at the playoff predictor here, if the Steelers win that game, are they eliminated? Let's say, so we go there. Let's say the Lions.
Don't quote me on that yet. Maybe I've just been reading too much of what my Detroit friends have been saying and just seeing little bits and pieces of it.
Well, according to this, if I'm looking at this correctly, even if they lose to the Steelers and they win their next 2 games without factoring anything else in on the playoff calculator, the Lions would still not be able to make the playoffs. So this is do or die for them, do or die for the Steelers, which I do think plays a factor as you suggest there.
Yeah.
As people saw in this, and if you missed the Locked On Steelers Squad show, comes out, it's a live stream every Wednesday night at 8. I did pick the Lions then. I'm still picking the Lions, but I will give this caveat. If all of a sudden Friday pops up and TJ Watt walks through that door and says, I'm back, which my colleague Jerry Dulac at the Post-Gazette said that the Steelers expect him back before the season ends, quote unquote, or even sooner. So if that was this week, that is something that could energize this defense and get them fired up for this game. And if that happens, I would change my mind.
Yes.
But even if Nick Herbig comes back, I feel like it's going to need it. They kind of need the gamut to take on this run offense for the Lions. I feel like they will make this a good game. I will say this: I think the Steelers cover the 6.5.
I do too.
I think the Lions find a way to win this one. I think I forget what score I gave on Wednesday night, but give me the Lions winning 27-26. I think it literally goes down to the wire. The Steelers fall just short in a game that they're not proud. Now, it's funny. They said the last time that the Lions had beaten the Steelers was the Jerome Bettis coin flip game from 1998 when he said heads tails, and
tails.
That was a time. But looking at this as an opportunity, again, this is a big opportunity for the Steelers. If they steal it away from the Lions, and I believe eliminate them from the playoffs, man, oh man, would that put the Steelers? One, it would be a statement win for the Steelers, but again, it would put all the pressure on the Ravens to beat the Patriots on Sunday Night Football. And if they don't, it opens the door for the Packers game to basically be an AFC North elimination game for the Ravens, and also the chance for the Steelers-Browns game to be the clinching game for the Steelers.
Just crazy times that we're at this point of the season. This is the most fun. It's going to be wild, but yeah, I'm with you. I think Detroit just, the more desperate team finds a way. That is a really well coached team as well. I love what Dan Campbell has done in this turnaround in Detroit, but I think that they just come away with the edge. They know that their playoff lives are on the line, and they don't want the season to end without, having at least a shot and a crack at getting into the playoffs.
Absolutely. Jenna, thanks so much for joining us here on the Locked On Steelers podcast. She's Jenna Harner. Jenna, let people can find you, follow you, get more of your work.
Well, thank you so much as always for having me. I'm finally happy to be back on a Friday with schedule ways and all the fun stuff. You can find me on Twitter at Jenna Harner 11, Instagram Jenna_Harner, and locally WPXI TV here in Pittsburgh. If you're not in the Pittsburgh television market, you can go to our website or our app. We will be in Detroit this weekend, so stay tuned Sunday night for all of our recap stuff. And we'll see you then.
Absolutely. She's Jenna Harner. Thanks, Jenna, for joining us. Thank you all for joining us here on the Locked On Steelers podcast. I'm your host, Chris Carter. Follow me on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, Blue Sky, wherever you get social media. It's at Carter Critiques is my handle. Read my work in the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette by going to post-gazette.com, including my film study on how Arthur Smith, DK Metcalf, and Aaron Rodgers got on the same page. That published on Thursday. Also look out for my weekend story on something else that's clicking for the Steelers behind the scenes. That'll come out in the Post-Gazette, I believe, Saturday. So get it all here. Also, get it all here on the Locked On Steelers podcast on your favorite podcasting apps and on YouTube. Like this video if you enjoy it. Subscribe to this channel to get all of those daily Monday through Friday episodes back here Sunday night, Monday morning here, talking about what happened Steelers Lions, and maybe are we talking about an AFC North race that could be wrapped up in Week 18? We'll get it here on the Locked On Steelers podcast.